Who would have ever thought? It's my senior day. It's crazy. How did that happen? How is it here?
The end of an era.
He's a legend. I don't think there's any question about it.
After more than 4 decades leading the Duke Blue Devils, tonight marks Coach Mike Krzyzewski's final home game at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
He's the best to ever do it.
Had a good long run, but we're hoping to send him out with a loss on his last game.
His final home game fittingly against the Tar Heels, the biggest rivalry in college hoops.
That's like the Super Bowl of basketball. Our live team coverage leading up to tip-off starts right now. Thank you for joining us this evening here in Durham. I am Mike Krzyzewski.
And I'm Caroline Blair. Tip-off time for tonight's Duke-Carolina game. A little over an hour away, we have learned. Tip-off tonight set for 6:20.
Yeah, a little bit later than normal, but nonetheless, we are going to be here for the next hour, and over the next hour, we're going to be taking a look back at Mike Krzyzewski's legacy as the head coach of the Duke men's basketball team, his impact felt across the state, plus the rivalry he helped to really ignite with Carolina.
Absolutely unbelievable career. And we have a big crew out here with us tonight, led by our sports director, Mike Krzyzewski. We have our Mike Topper, JB Ricks right beside us inside Cameron Indoor. We also have our Heather Fordham, Alexis Bell, Chris O'Brien, and Evan Siri. They are here in Durham. And we can't forget Spectrum News 1 anchor Rob Blue. He is standing by in our studio tonight, tracking all you at home are saying out there on social media, along with, frankly, folks around the world.
Yeah, everybody, I mean, if you're a basketball fan, this is appointment television, and we're glad that you're along for the ride with us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know today marks Coach Krzyzewski's final home game, final game against UNC here. And, of course, appropriately enough, it is on the court, Coach K court, that bears his name.
Yeah, final regular season game. We have no idea if they're going to see each other in Brooklyn next week as well.
Could be a lot.
You just never know. But,
exactly.
There have been other coaches. You alluded to Coach K court. There have been other coaches in history to have the home floor named after him. Just a few miles west of here, Roy Williams with the Tar Heels has his name on the floor. But the link between Coach Krzyzewski and Cameron Indoor Stadium is unmatched by any other coach in basketball history. There's a really good reason people say that this is the house that K built.
Yeah, the numbers back that up, Mike, and they truly are staggering. Today will be Coach Krzyzewski's 648th game in Cameron Indoor across 42 incredible seasons. He has a wildly impressive 88% success rate so far at 572 and 75. It is the most wins at one venue by any coach ever.
And under Coach K, the Blue Devils won, are you ready for this? 150 consecutive non-conference games inside Cameron Indoor. That's an NCAA record that was snapped on a buzzer beater by Stephen F. Austin in 2019. So it wasn't that long ago. Duke has finished the season unbeaten at home 11 times. They're the only ACC team to have an overall home win streak of at least 40 games, and they've done it 4 times, all under Coach K.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just remarkable.
Unbelievable.
Now, we can't talk about Coach K's last game inside Cameron without going to Chapel Hill. I mean, it's one of the biggest rivalries on planet Earth. Ever in the game, of course. Our Alexis Bell is standing by live for us right now on Franklin Street in Chapel Hill, where fans are gearing up for tonight's big game. Alexis, you know a little something about that as a UNC grad.
I know a little something about it, so I'm glad we're on Franklin Street, and of course it's the place to be, especially in Chapel Hill. You can see all the students who are lining up, some cars in the way right now, but everybody, of course, in their Carolina blue, getting ready for that game to start. I want to tell you all about who I talked to. It was a manager right here at Chapel Hill Sportswear, just telling me about how deep this rivalry is.
I started working here part-time in 1995 when I was in school.
And Holly Dedman, now the store manager, hasn't left.
When you've got the best job in the world, why would you leave? I mean, I get to be on Franklin Street every day. I get to be around college kids, which I think for the most part keeps me young. Sometimes I think it ages me.
And as she preps the racks, one thing that never gets old is that UNC versus Duke rivalry.
People, they just don't understand how deep the rivalry runs. And it's so funny to me, people come in the store and ask, do you have a house divided flag or magnet or sticker or anything like that? And I'm like, no, we don't right now. But it's like, I don't even understand if this guy, if he said, I go to Duke, do you want to go out on a date? I would be like, no, I don't even understand how that happens.
And now there's only one way this Carolina fan wants to send Coach K off.
He's had a good long run, but we're hoping to send him out with a loss on his last game.
She said it, y'all. I didn't. She said it. And of course, I went here, so I'm rooting for Carolina. Just hoping that this game goes better than when Duke and Carolina played at the Dean Dome last month. So we'll see.
She's a little confident, isn't she?
I think she is. I think a lot of UNC fans are as well. Let me tell you, I'm actually from Trinity, North Carolina, the home of Duke University. It was Trinity College before it became Duke University.
That's right.
I was surrounded by Duke fans growing up a Tar Heel fan. This runs deep from before I can even remember. It's no joke when it comes to the fans, and those Carolina fans are confident tonight.
Well, they are confident. We're going to talk about what's at stake for these teams a little bit later on. But it's a tradition. We talk about traditions, and Cameron Indoor Stadium just oozes tradition. I mean, you look at the architecture, the inside and the interior. But one of the biggest traditions is Krzyzewskiville. It began in 1986 as a way for students to obtain tickets for Duke Carolina games. This year, nearly 1,000 Duke students took over the space by the stadium in January and February as part of the final K-ville tenting event in the Coach K era.
Students braved the frigid winter temperatures to guarantee themselves a spot inside Cameron Indoor for Coach K's final home game. And as is the case every year, these are smart students, but they're having to go to school taking a comprehensive Duke basketball test to even get into K-ville.
All of those students will be putting their heart and soul into helping the Blue Devils top the Tar Heels and get a win on Saturday night. And of course, there is a lot at stake for these bitter rivals. And of course, for Duke, when you look at what's at stake for them, well, first and foremost, they want to win because it's Coach K's last home game. I mean, that's job one. But they're also still playing for a chance to be a number one seed in the upcoming NCAA tournament later this month. Duke is projected by most experts to have a number 2 to the left of their name. But if they take care of business and win the ACC tournament next week, it's going to be hard to deny them moving up. And why is that important? Well, because out of the 5 times Duke and Coach K have won the national championship, they've been a number 1 seed on 4 of those occasions. Overall, a number 1 has cut down the nets 64% of the time in the Big Dance, including the last 4 straight. How about the Heels?
Well, North Carolina has a lot, obviously, riding on this game. The Tar Heel fans would love nothing more than to spoil Coach K's send-off tonight. Big picture here. Let's talk about that. UNC can clinch the number 3 seed heading into next week's ACC tournament if they beat the Blue Devils tonight. However, if they lose, they would fall to a number 4 seed heading into the tournament. Of course, we know Duke has that number 1 spot locked up. But even more important than that, a win could likely solidify their chances of making an 11th straight NCAA tournament. Most experts have Carolina as a bubble team right now because so far, they failed to beat the very best teams on their schedule. Beating Duke today would shake that criticism and finally give the Heels and new head coach Hubert Davis that signature win, Mike, that they certainly have been looking for. We've seen the Cameron Crazies heading in. They are pumped about this game. However, everyday man, you and me trying to get in, those tickets are expensive and hard to come by, to say the least.
Yeah, you need a little bit of extra paper.
A little bit of extra
chicken.
Yeah.
You want to get into this game tonight. Average price on StubHub, okay? We checked it out, and it's been changing, and I'm not sure. I mean, we can't see the screen, but last I saw it was $5,400 to get in. That's the average price. The lowest price for a pair of tickets is almost $3,300. I don't have that kind of chicken, you?
No. That's why we're standing out here tonight, Mike, of course. But yeah, you have to look at Cameron. When we were saying this earlier when we were walking in, it's beautiful. It almost feels like a high school gym when you walk in because of the size. I mean, what is a little over 9,000 seats compared to the tens of thousands on other courts. And we have just under 100 confirmed players coming here. This is not just the hottest ticket in town. It's the hottest ticket in the country.
Oh, it's the hottest ticket in college basketball. And it was going to be that way on the day that Coach Krzyzewski announced that this would be his last season on the Duke bench. This was the one that everybody circled. If you wanted to get into this one, you had to save up and you had to be prepared to pay for it, because if you weren't a Duke student, couldn't pass the test and sleep in a tent for a couple of months, it was going to be really, really tough to get inside and check things out. And also, tonight is also expected to be the highest selling game for obvious reasons, because of everything that's riding.
I believe it. It's the Super Bowl of basketball.
Absolutely.
Durham growing to one of the great cities in the United States, and this university continued to grow. And my wife and I are going to stay on as ambassadors for the school.
Our hour-long special leading up to tip-off between Duke and Carolina continuing right here, and the look at Coach K and his impact in the community and basketball, perhaps in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And we were just hearing from Coach K himself. He does, in fact, plan to stay in the Durham area after he wraps up his time here at Duke. He's going to help out, he and his wife, likely with some fundraising. He did say he's going to step away from the basketball program, leave that to John Shire. But you know what? You cannot think about Duke without thinking about Durham. It's been a win-win on the court. It's been a win-win off the court for businesses. Our Heather Fordham joining us right now live from downtown Durham.
If you don't have a ticket to the game, this is the place to be. We are at the Tobacco Wet Road Sports Cafe. You can see behind me, there is no shortage of TVs on the wall. These fans have been trickling in over the last few hours. We're seeing a good mix of Duke and UNC fans in here. And the business owner tells me that there is no better business than the Duke and UNC rivalry. Nothing makes the beer flow like the Duke-UNC rivalry.
All the Duke-Carolina games were typically, it's one of our 2 busiest nights of the year. Follow me?
Lisa Degazarian handles reservations and events for Tobacco Road Sports Cafe, just 2 miles from Duke University and Cameron Indoor Stadium.
If you're a basketball fan, Cameron's on your bucket list, so we always see people from all over.
The price of admission went through the roof when Coach K said this would be his last season. Fans looking for the next best seat to watch his final plays is a win for this downtown Durham sports bar decorated with 40 flat screen TVs.
Stopped taking reservations as of probably about 3 weeks ago.
Dergazarian says the phone started ringing in early February for people looking to reserve a seat for Coach K's final regular season home game.
Basketball season is one of our busiest, leading up into the ACC tournament and the NCAA. The first weekend of the NCAA is always really, really busy also.
But in the 12 years since the restaurant opened, she says every season with Coach K has been the buzzer beater of all sporting events.
The hype is always the same.
And even though this is Coach K's farewell, Dergazarian, who's a Duke fan herself, says they're not worried about business slowing down. So the fans are having a great time here. This restaurant also overlooks the Durham Bulls baseball stadium where Duke is also playing today. So whether it's baseball, basketball, this is a great place to be to watch the game. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, it's the best of both worlds there. You watch Duke, the Heels, playing on the big screen, turn over, catch some live baseball. It doesn't get better than that.
Well, hopefully we'll see some real live baseball. So that's a different show, a different time.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, look, Duke Carolina fans, no matter where you are, you're going to always find yourself having a great time. If you're in mixed company, Carolina Duke fans, you're always going to have some discussions, some heated rivalries, and it's not just businesses in Durham.
No.
Or to Chapel Hill. I mean, why don't we take a trip to Greensboro right now?
Let's do it.
Our own Chris O'Brien is standing by. He's at a watch party in the Triad. And Chris, what's happening where you are tonight as we get closer and closer to tip-off?
Mike, Caroline, good evening. So I'm at House Divided Bottles and Taps in Greensboro, and very appropriately named bar because the wife and husband who own it, the husband is a big UNC fan, the wife is a big Duke fan. A house divided, but this one doesn't fall.
It's always tension. That's the thing. No matter how built up Duke team is or how built up Carolina team is, there's always tension.
KB Matthew and his wife Jen run House Divided Bottles and Taps in Greensboro. There's a specific reason for the name. She's a Duke fan, and he's a UNC fan.
Actually surprised the name was still available in North Carolina. Because, you know, with Duke and Carolina being here and the whole big rivalry scene, when I registered the name, I was like, wow, nobody even attempted to register this name in North Carolina.
And House Divided was born, celebrating Duke versus UNC, arguably the most thrilling rivalry in college basketball.
I think this is bigger than the Super Bowl. More people come out.
And at House Divided, this has been a tense week. They're holding a watch party tonight for the game.
Atmosphere is standing room only. All seats taken. Most of the seats already reserved. And pretty much you can hardly hear yourself talk. There'll be so many people in here.
It's something they've done since they opened 5 years ago. And every single year, it's a party.
Oh, every year it's lots of fun. You know, you're talking junk to the people you know, and they talking junk back to you. And once the game ends, one person ain't gonna be talking junk no more.
Both socially and economically, this rivalry spurs people into bars and restaurants all around the state.
The economic impact is ridiculous. The money that it brings in the Duke Carolina game, you can't duplicate it.
And this feels like the end of an era. Longtime UNC coach Roy Williams retired last year, and tonight will be longtime Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski's final home game.
I guess me being a UNC fan, I don't like Duke team, but I got to give Coach K his props. He earned my respect when he coached the Olympic and with Kobe Bryant and all them, and as they respected him, that's how he gained my respect. For you to gain respect from NBA players as a college coach, that's big.
A humble respect for one of the greatest of all time. Now, we're still about 40 minutes to game time, but you can see the scene behind me really starting to take shape already. I've heard plenty of trash talk go back and forth between both Duke and UNC fans. Expected to be a really fun night. If you're in Greensboro, this is probably going to be the place to be. Mike, Caroline?
Yeah, it certainly sounds like. I remember wearing a Duke shirt when I was a kid. I've never seen such disappointment on my dad's face. It really can divide a house, so he's in the perfect spot.
Oh, you know, as a Chicagoan, we didn't have Duke Carolina. We had the Bears and Green Bay Packers.
Oh,
so if you were caught in Chicago with a Green Bay hat, shirt, you faced all kinds of rap.
And of course, a lot of you out there are weighing in on social media ahead of tonight's historic game. Our Rob Wu standing by in the studio, taking a look at what we're seeing out there online.
Yeah, Caroline, some bittersweet feelings. I think this post from Katie Lloyd on Facebook really captures the essence of it. She writes, "I have to say I'm pretty emotional today. Literally every year of my life, Coach K has been a constant presence. I've never met him, even though I feel I have." And she shares a picture of herself as a child attending a Duke University sporting event. This picture from Collie Cashwell. His boys are, quote, locked in, getting ready for tip-off. You see them there in their Duke shirts. We talked about a house divided. John Miller, his wife, a Duke fan, himself, UNC fan. Last tweet right here, as they say, you played to win the game, right? Jerry Cohen writes, met my spouse in Durham in 1981, wedding in Durham. Our 40th anniversary is Monday. He's even an adjunct professor at Duke, but he writes, am I rooting for Duke and Coach K today? Nope. Hashtag good day to be a Tar Heel. More tweets coming up in the next half hour, Mike. We'll also have some from some former players showing their love for Coach K. But for now, let's send it back out to you guys in Durham.
There are loads of Coach K fans all across the world, but there was a guy that actually was on those sidelines before Coach K. Legendary coach, legendary broadcaster, good friend of mine, and a heck of a blackjack player, Bucky Waters.
What's going on, guys? We are inside a raucous Cameron Indoor Stadium. Obviously, the game is still a few minutes away from tip-off, but it is already cranking in here, and definitely we got to take out time to speak to a former Duke coach who was in here and is a legend when it comes to Duke athletics. The one and only Bucky Waters in the building, joining us here for our pregame show. Me and Buck, we definitely do these things when it comes to these ACC circles, and it's so good to have you in here. You got to tell me how it feels to be inside for such a major event like this.
This makes the Super Bowl look like homeroom. This is so exciting. Yeah. I've been to a few of these, and it still gets to me. My hair stands on end.
Oh, my goodness.
See, but I got hair. That's good.
I can only imagine. Now, you got to tell me how you've seen, like, the Duke fan base grow, and just for it to be at the level that it is now, to be able to have such a joyous event like this. Duke, North Carolina, Coach K's last game. I mean, how has this place grown since your days of coaching here at Duke?
Well, this game never disappoints. The emotion is, I can't imagine with the emotion I've been through that with what's going on for Coach K, and it's deserved. It's beyond everything. And I just hope, it's be curious, sometime with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, this much drama can be a negative, but I think it's going to be an uplifter.
But what does Cameron Indoor Stadium, Duke basketball, Duke athletics mean to the community of Durham?
Well, you asked the right guy. I was the coach the night we named it Cameron Indoor Stadium, and it was a drama. We played Carolina. They were number 3 in the country. We were double-digit underdogs. and we won on the last-second shot.
You told me about that 50 years ago, right?
Yeah, but we weren't around then.
No, not yet. I was close to it, though, close.
I just think destiny, and I like them all the way.
All the way, so that means they're going to the Final Four.
Yes.
Bucky Waters, brother, I thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. It is always a pleasure.
I caddy for you anytime.
All day, every day. My man, Bucky Waters, in the building for Coach K's farewell, his final game here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's all we have here from inside of Cameron right now. Let's go ahead and send it back to you.
Caroline, Bucky Waters, national treasure. End of story. Full
We
stop.
caddy for him anytime.
Absolutely. I have too. It's only fitting that the Tar Heels, the North Carolina Tar Heels, are the last home game for Duke with Mike Krzyzewski on the bench. Duke and Carolina have been bitter rivals. Basketball, football, chess, you name it. If there's a game between these two, it's always going to be heated. But some of the best battles they had inside this particular arena are going to live forever as Coach K and the Heels combined took this rivalry to new heights.
It is the best rivalry, not just in college basketball, but in all of sports. I don't think you can describe what this building is like and what the feeling is like to go on this floor for Duke, Carolina.
Amy Spatola is the vice chair of the Emily K Center, and she is also one of Coach K's daughters. Today, this afternoon, she was one of hundreds inside the Emily K Center where they held an open house celebrating a new multi-million-dollar expansion for the center and where they honored its founder, Coach Mike Krzyzewski.
Mantra Banda is a scholar program assistant at the Emily K Center in Durham.
My main role is communication with families, particularly Spanish-speaking families. We're really big on language access, and a lot of the students that we serve are Spanish-speaking.
Today, she's running this booth at the center's open house for its multi-million-dollar expansion.
This is our graduate corridor.
She steps away for a few minutes to give me a tour and shows me something incredible.
And that's the picture of me in my high school graduation with Coach K.
Banda joined the Emily K Center as a student her freshman year of high school. She says the center has changed her life.
I'm a first-generation college student. I didn't understand a lot about the college process, and I think that a lot of even my confidence and my abilities came from the center, the way they've nurtured me since my freshman year of high school.
She and countless others signing a congratulations card for Coach K today.
This is a great day for the center.
And for the Krzyzewski family. That's Coach K's daughter, Jamie Spatalo, who is the vice chair of the Emily K Center.
This is as big a part of his legacy as any of his national championships, and particularly in the community, in the Durham community. The Emily K Center is maybe a bigger part of his legacy than any of those 5 banners.
I asked Spatalo what emotions are like for the Krzyzewskis on this historic day, and she said she's thinking about her mom perhaps even more than her dad.
It's like their whole lives flashing before everyone's eyes. So it's you know, I try to think about like if my and my husband's life's work and experience that our family had through our whole marriage were put on a TV screen, like that's got to be profoundly emotional. So I think I'm thinking most about my mom today.
And that student you heard from in that clip actually went to UNC Chapel Hill for college. Unbelievable, right? But she says she has been rooting for Duke basketball all her life, and you can bet she'll be rooting for Duke and Coach K tonight. I'm live from Duke University outside of Cameron Indoor. Evan Siri, Spectrum News 1. Back to you, Caroline.
Yeah, I'm really glad that he was able to talk to Coach K's daughter, because it's not just the coaches that make the sacrifices. It's the kids and the wives and the husbands as well. So, yeah, it's great to hear that.
And a lot of folks may not really appreciate Mickey Krzyzewski's contribution to the Duke basketball program, being the wife of the head coach, and she has been with him through the highs, the lows. Yeah. One of the lasting images I have ever had of Coach K was after the national championship they won in Indianapolis, 2015, I believe it was. The two of them walking out hand in hand, going to the buses at the end of the night after all the media, after all the cameras had gone, just walking by themselves and really enjoying the moment and enjoying each other. And it's a beautiful marriage. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff.
I've sat directly behind her at games. Yeah. She's in it.
Oh, absolutely. She's all in. Yeah.
Well, there's one man who had plenty of battles against head coach Mike Krzyzewski inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. That was former North Carolina head coach Roy Williams.
Don't count on Roy Williams as one of the folks who will be in attendance for Saturday night's game, but it's not why you think.
I'd like to show Mike respect, but I'm not going to show Mike respect if I'm standing over cheering like crazy for us to beat him to death.
UNC and Duke have had countless classics with Roy and Coach K at the helm. There was, of course, the Austin Rivers buzzer beater back in 2012. My personal favorite memory covering the rivalry was Wendell Moore Jr.'s putback in overtime to give the Blue Devils a win in Chapel Hill in 2019. All told, Williams finished 18-22 against Duke while head coach at Carolina. Since 2003, the Tar Heels have won 3 national titles to Duke's 2. Both men are in the top 5 of Division I men's basketball's all-time coaching wins, with Coach K, of course, standing alone at number 1. But despite their on-court battles, Roy had some kind words to say about Coach K on Thursday morning.
He's meant a great deal to college basketball, a great deal to college coaches, and his career, what he's done, has just been phenomenal, and I congratulate him, and I hope North Carolina wins.
Any advice to him as he enters his retirement?
I don't think Mike Krzyzewski needs advice from Roy Williams on anything.
And while UNC's current head coach, Hubert Davis, he's still seeking his first win against Duke, and certainly he'd love to get it tonight. But you know Mike Krzyzewski would not only like to get a win against his rival in the Tar Heels, but to do it in his final regular season game as head coach of the Blue Devils in Cameron Indoor. Reporting from Durham, Mike Soper, Spectrum News 1.
Yeah, and we are wrapping up our coverage going into Coach K's final home game here at Cameron Indoor.
You know, before we go, we're running out of time in the program. Let's go back to our Raleigh studios and check in with Rob Wu for the latest on what's happening on social media. Rob, anything standing out to you tonight?
Some pictures and videos that caught my attention, Mike. This picture here from Duke United Tenting. They are the self-proclaimed hottest tent in K-ville. They go about 12 strong. An interesting moment at Cameron Indoor earlier today. This was posted in the afternoon. Apparently, some people got stuck in an elevator. Doors wouldn't open. They had to call Durham firefighters to come in. They do get the doors open. You see a woman inside. Her face looks very much relieved. I don't know how long they were stuck inside, but in the audio as they walk out, you can hear them asking for directions to the bathroom. Frank Hill tweeting, we talked about tickets, how hard they were to get their hands on it. He writes, got off the phone with Duke man who has 4 tickets to tonight's Carolina game, but he has 4 Duke grads and immediate family plus 2 grandchildren. That makes 6. He somehow got 1 more ticket from friends so he could take care of 5 total. That's 1 short, so son took the bullet and is sitting at home tonight. Hashtag sacrifice. I'm saying Duke wins a blowout fashion, 18 points, and Coach K's grandson, Michael Savarino, he makes a basket in garbage time. That's my prediction.
Oh, there we go. All right, Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. We talked about this on the drive over. I think that Carolina is going to keep this a game for the most part, and I think maybe about 10 minutes left in the second half, you're going to see Duke kind of pull away, maybe win by 15, 16, 18 points, somewhere in there.
Yeah, UNC's bigs are going to have to play really strong. Yes. Carolina's going to need to not go cold to stay in this game. But listen, I told you I grew up a Carolina fan, but I'm putting my journalistic hat on. I'm not choosing. I'm going to let a fan at home choose. Got little baby Prescott there. I'm being told he's got a Carolina hat on. So, hey, he chose it. The 8-month-old, 9-month-old chose it. So I'm staying out of this one.
Putting your kids to work?
I'm putting my kids to work, yes. That's where we are. I'm staying out of this one.
You know, and it's interesting, real quickly, because we only have a few minutes left. You know, I first met Coach K October 15th, 1995, and his first day back, he said to the media in attendance, how many of you guys are Catholic? And a couple of us raised their hands. He says this qualifies as church. So it's the congregation has assembled as we are getting ready to go here inside Cameron Indoor tonight. What's up?
And we're going to have much more coming up after the game. Watch and switch coverage from either Duke or UNC following the game.
That's right. Then at 10 o'clock, an hour-long special edition of the Chevrolet Sports Night beginning 10 p.m. It's earlier, half hour earlier. For all of us here at Spectrum News 1, she's Caroline Blair. I'm Mike Solarte. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you later on tonight.